beautiful people, welcome back to Proverbs of Praise. It is Taylin. I am super excited to have you with me today. 3 videos in 3 weeks. What's going on? I know. I'm excited to continue to make content and to just share with you what's going on. So today is Faith Moves. We're talking again about faith and what that looks like and how it operates. So let's talk. Last week, if you have not seen last week's episode, we talked about when the money runs out, what happens and how God showed up for me when the money ran out. And I want to continue in that same vein. Please check the cards up here if you did not get a chance to see that video already. Or check the description box below also to see that video. You should watch that first so you kind of know an intro to this series and what we're going to be talking about. So today I want to talk about still in college, so a few years ago, how the Lord showed up, when I wanted to study abroad. Let's get into it. This was about junior year. Actually, it was the end of my junior year going into my senior year. So God provided, He allowed me to be our RA, our resident assistant in college, which was such a blessing, y'all. That money that I talked about before, that I was privileged to have a scholarship and some grants and things like that and take out some loans. With all of that, there was a portion, the in-between, right, that I still needed to come up with, and that was about the same amount that was required to stay on campus. And so the RA position allowed me, praise the Lord, to live on campus for free. But I also worked my little hiney off, okay? It was a lot of work dealing with them kids. And take hours at the desk and things like that. So anyhow, going into my senior year, I really wanted to study abroad. I was blessed to be able to take my first abroad trip in high school. I think I was in my junior year going into senior year, of high school through a scholarship program. And so I went to Spain. I stayed with the host family. It was amazing, changed my life. For real. And since then, I knew I wanted to study abroad. I also went to a school that really promoted studying abroad. Most, if not all of my friends except one, studied abroad for a semester in college. And so it was a thing that everyone did and something that I definitely would encourage you to do if you are in college watching this and you're like, well, I don't know, do it. It will literally just broaden your horizons and perspectives and all that good stuff. So this video is not about that, but just a little plug there. Anyhow, I was preparing to do so my junior year. So I knew because of certain classes, most folks go abroad in their junior year because of certain classes that I needed to fulfill my major requirements. Unfortunately, when they were given, I wasn't able to go in my junior year. Not a problem. I decided to go in my senior year. Didn't know where I wanted to go, y'all. I was like, Lord, wherever. I just want to go abroad. I'm ready. I'm super excited. So when it comes to like making these types of decisions, I'm like spreadsheet queen, analytical, like, okay, how much does it cost? Where could I go? What are the trips that I can do? Where are the places while I'm there I can go? What housing? Am I living with a family or am I living by myself? Like my brain just goes crazy, okay? So began to make that list, and I believe on the short list it was Israel. I'm pretty sure I was looking at Israel, and Spain was definitely on the list, and then Denmark. So I had these 3 places, was talking to folks that may have possibly traveled to those places before and kind of thinking like, okay, Lord, what should I do here? What's going on? I ended up choosing to go to Copenhagen, Denmark. They had a great program. I was a sociology major. All the social majors out there. So I was sociology, public administration, and policy, and they had a great program. So I decided to do that. As I said before, y'all, this cost some money, you know what I'm saying? Luckily, again, my school was able to, they encouraged us to take study abroad, which meant that a lot of the funding that we got, grants, whatever, scholarships and stuff, we could apply that to that program. But there was still a hefty amount of money that I had to come up with. And this may be in a 2-part because y'all, God did major things. So there's like a story within a story. So what happened? So yes, 2 things happened. There was a lot of money. I think it may have been let's say $5,000 that I have to come up with just to be able to go on the trip, but then you also have to think about money while I'm there in that country, right? And so normally, as I said, with the RA position, I was getting a stipend throughout each month because of the hours that I worked within that job. And then I was also doing like little side hustles and things like that. So that money would be coming in. Well, with this particular position, with going abroad, I wasn't going to be working, right? So the money that I would normally have for like groceries and to eat and transportation and all of that stuff was not going to be there. So I also had to think about monthly, how am I going to live in a foreign country for 4 months and feed myself? Okay, so I was like, okay, Lord, how are we going to work this out? So 2 things happened, 2 major things. One, this is the story within the story, so I'm going to try to make this quick. But I think it was, again, this was in high school. It was either junior or senior year in high school. I had just gotten my license. Y'all, I was the kid who, my dad taught me very early how to drive. I remember 5 or 6. Literally, I'm on his lap, turning the wheel. I got my permit at 15. I think I got my license at 16. And luckily, like, both my parents allowed me to drive a lot and stuff like that. My dad taught me how to drive, but my mom allowed me to drive the car. Okay, I was whipping it. One time, came around the corner too fast, y'all. She was like, get out. I was like, Mom, I don't want to be embarrassed out here. It was a mess, y'all. So anyhow, but I'm a great driver, just so you know. If you ride with me, I have friends that are watching this. I just drive a little fast. I like to get where I'm going. That's beside the point. So, in this case, though, I had just gotten my license, and I had a school event, so I was on the school newspaper. We were like on deadline or whatever, so I remember I have to be to school late, and I lived an hour away from my school. Normally took public transportation. This particular day, though, my mom let me. It was my senior year, because I don't think I had to be to school in the morning, something like that, but I had to be there late. And that night, one of my friends had a going away party. So my mom was like, you can take the car, because I don't feel like shuttling you around, girl. I was like, okay, Mom, okay. So y'all, took it to school. I did great. Everything was kosher, okay? I'm on my way back now. And you have to cross a bridge to get there. So I'm heading. This is in San Francisco. And so what's happening? So I'm driving back, y'all, and I get rear-ended by a drunk driver multiple times. I will save you all the details, but yeah, so God literally protected me in that situation. But after that, I did going to the hospital, not that day, but like later on and things like that, because I started to have migraines. Nothing really came of it. I was looking at like it being covered, going to different attorneys and seeing like what the process would be or what that could look like. Ended up, the attorney I went to was just like, it would only pay for your medical bills if you had a case. And so I had medical insurance, so I was like, that doesn't matter to me because my bills were already covered. And so I just left it alone. 4 years later, y'all, this was again my junior, senior year. In between summers, I always worked. I went back home to California, to the Bay Area, and worked. At this time, I worked at a law firm, a social justice law firm. And so I remember I was in the car with the attorney that I worked for. And that particular day, he had taken me like to his different cases to kind of shadow him. I usually worked in the office and did depositions and all that good stuff for him. But this day, we were in the car. And I remember we were chatting or whatever, and I had brought up, I was like, yeah, I was in this like accident, this drunk driver hit me, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, wait, did you ever pursue a case or anything like that? And I was like, no, this is what the attorney told me or whatever. He was like, what? He was like, we'll do it for you for free. I'm like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean? What am I gonna get? Okay, Lord, like, okay. So they did everything, and mind you, this was not like, attorneys have specializations, of course, and this was not his specialization, but he was just like, we'll follow everything on your behalf, and like anything that you get, we won't take anything, you can just have it. And I was like, okay. This happened, I'm pretty sure it took about 6 months, 6 to 9 months for that money to, like, all the processes to go forward and stuff like that. And y'all, when I got that check, okay, that check was exactly the amount of money that I needed for my account, my school account, remember, just for my tuition and fees to be covered. just for my tuition and fees to be covered. And I don't mean just, I mean like God is so crazy faithful. The fact that he took something that happened, and there are like, I forgot, statute of limitations and things like that. I believe for this particular case, it was like 5 years. And so, yeah, it was 5 years, and I was coming up on the cusp of that 5 years, right? I had told you it happened like 4 years between then, and it took 6 to 9 months to get the money and things like that. So something that was bad in the moment, that didn't feel good, that was like really frustrating. My mom ended up having to get her car fixed and all of these things. Luckily the damage wasn't horrible, but it was still pretty significant. And so how God used that bad thing, that negative thing, to literally, when he says turn it around for your good, okay, God is so faithful, like, y'all. And it exactly when I needed it. Not anytime before, not anytime after, but exactly when I needed it, right? I would not have been, and I'm sure of that, been able to go and study abroad if I had not gotten that check from the settlement. So that was such a blessing. That was such a blessing. Keep watching for part 2 so you figure out how I was able to make sure that the expenses when I was abroad were taken care of, and all the things and ways that God showed up. Peace out.